Hey everyone, how's it going today? Before we dive into this story, I want to check in with you all. Are you having a good day or a rough one? Life throwing any curveballs your way? Sometimes we all need to hear a story that reminds us we're not alone in our struggles. Eh? Look, I know life can be heavy sometimes. So here's what I want you to do. Go grab yourself a coffee, maybe a nice Tim's double-double, or brew some tea if that's more your thing. Get comfortable, take a breath, and let me tell you about something that happened to me that completely changed my life. This one's gonna take a bit, so settle in. I'd been married to Marcus for 13 years, and we had 2 kids, Emma, who was 11, and Tyler, who was 8. Everything seemed pretty normal, you know? We lived in a nice neighborhood in Mississauga, had our routines, did the school pickup thing, went to hockey practice. Your typical Canadian family life. Then Marcus started this thing where every Tuesday night, he'd say he had these late meetings at the office, said his company was doing some big restructuring project and they needed everyone staying until like 11 p.m. every week. I didn't really question it because Marcus had always been ambitious about climbing the corporate ladder, wanted that VP position so bad. He'd come home smelling different though, not his usual coffee and office smell, but this floral perfume scent. When I asked about it, he said the new cleaning service at work used some fancy products. Made sense, I guess. I tried not to be that suspicious wife, you know? Then one afternoon, Emma mentioned something weird. She said, "Mom, why did Dad pick up Miss Chen from our school last Thursday?" Miss Chen was the new music teacher who'd just transferred from Vancouver. Emma said they were laughing a lot in the car and seemed really friendly. When I brought it up to Marcus that night, he got all defensive, said her car broke down and he was just being a good Samaritan, helping out a colleague. Made me feel like I was being paranoid and controlling for even asking. The Tuesday meetings kept going for about 4 months. Then Marcus added Saturday morning networking brunches and Sunday afternoon client golf games at the Meadowvale course. Tyler started asking why Daddy never came to his hockey games anymore. Marcus told him, "Buddy, I'm working hard to pay for those expensive hockey fees. Someone's got to make the money, right?" That stung, but I let it slide. Kept telling myself he was just stressed about work. One Tuesday evening, I decided to surprise Marcus at his office with some Swiss chalet for dinner since he'd be there so late. I drove all the way to his building in downtown Toronto, walked into the lobby with the takeout bags, and the security guard looked confused. He said, "Mrs. Peterson?" Mr. Peterson left at 5:30 like he always does. "There's no meetings on Tuesdays here." I just stood there, holding those bags of chicken, feeling like the floor was disappearing under me. I sat in my car in that parking garage for probably an hour, trying to process what this meant. Then something in my gut told me exactly where to go. I drove to Miss Chen's condo building in Parkdale, and there it was, Marcus's Jeep Grand Cherokee parked in a visitor spot. I sat in my Honda CR-V across the street for 3 hours. At 10:47 p.m., Marcus walked out of her building, checked his phone, and drove away. When he got home, I was waiting in the living room. I confronted him straight up, no games. And you know what? He didn't even try to deny it. He actually said, "Look, you should be grateful I met Sophia. She makes me happy, which makes me a better father. When I'm happy, everyone benefits." I asked how long it had been going on. 6 months, he said. Started at the school's welcome back barbecue where I had literally introduced them. I'd brought the potato salad to that thing. Let me pause here and ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to have them prove you were wrong? What do you think causes someone to betray the people who love them most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you think about this. The next morning, Marcus told the kids he had a special friend who made him smile, and they'd be meeting her soon. Tyler asked, "Is she why you don't come to my hockey games anymore?" Marcus said Sophia was very important to him and they'd understand when they're older. Emma started crying. Marcus told her to stop being so dramatic and selfish. That weekend, he brought Sophia to Tyler's hockey game. Introduced her to other parents as his colleague, while I was standing right there in my Leafs hoodie. She wore this tight dress to a kids' hockey game at a freezing arena and kept touching Marcus's arm. When Tyler scored his first goal of the season, he looked up at us in the stands and saw his dad kissing Sophia instead of watching. Tyler just stood there on the ice, confused. Marcus missed the whole moment. The next week, Marcus announced that Sophia would be joining us for dinner every Friday night. Said the kids needed to get comfortable with her since she'd be around permanently. When I said absolutely not, he told me I didn't get a vote. Said Sophia made him feel alive, and the kids needed to see what real passion looked like instead of our boring, settled marriage. At that first dinner, Sophia sat in my chair at our kitchen table. When Emma said that was Mommy's seat, Sophia smiled and said, "Sometimes change is healthy for everyone, sweetie." Marcus backed her up and told Emma to be respectful. Sophia spent the whole dinner talking about her music career and her trip to Banff last summer, while the kids barely touched their food. She asked them to call her Sophie. Tyler said he'd rather not call her anything. Marcus sent him to his room without dessert, didn't even let him finish his craft dinner. Sophia started coming over more and more. She'd rearrange stuff, saying our house needed to be more sophisticated and less suburban. She threw out the kids' artwork from the fridge because it looked cluttered. Told Emma her drawings were elementary and she could teach her proper technique. When Emma said she liked her drawings just fine, Sophia complained to Marcus that I was raising rude children. Marcus made Emma apologize. Then came Tyler's 9th birthday. I'd planned this whole party at Sky Zone with his entire class. Trampoline, dodgeball, foam pit, the works. The morning of the party, Marcus said Sophia thought it was too chaotic and lowbrow, and they'd arranged something better. They took the kids to the Royal Ontario Museum instead. Tyler spent his 9th birthday looking at dinosaur bones while Sophia lectured about paleontology. His friends all went to Sky Zone without him. He cried himself to sleep that night. That's when Marcus said the worst thing. I confronted him about ruining Tyler's birthday, and he said, Sophie's cultural guidance is more important than some loud party with a bunch of hyper kids. I said the kids' happiness should come first. He looked me straight in the eye and said, Sophia is more important than the kids because she makes me the man who can provide for them. Without her, I'd be miserable and useless to everyone. The kids will thank me someday. Here's my question for you. When someone shows you who they really are, do you believe them? Or do you keep hoping they'll change back into who you thought they were? This is important, so think about it for a second. I knew right then what I had to do. That night, I sat at our kitchen table with an old Hilroy notebook and wrote down everything I could remember. Every hockey game Marcus missed starting from March. Emma's school concert where she kept looking at the door, waiting for her dad who never showed. The time Sophia threw out Tyler's drawing and Emma cried for 2 hours. Every cruel comment Sophia made about my kids. Every moment Marcus chose her over them. My hand shook while I wrote, anger making the pen press so hard the words tore through the paper in some spots. I filled 17 pages with dates, times, exact quotes. That worst line got its own page in all capitals. Sophia is more important than the kids because she makes me the man who can provide for them. I wrote it 3 times so I'd never forget the look on his face when he said it. Next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m., couldn't sleep anymore. Marcus was still snoring away like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't just destroyed our family. I waited until I heard the shower running, then went to his home office. The filing cabinet wasn't even locked. I pulled out bank statements, credit card bills, investment accounts, his work calendar showing no Tuesday meetings ever scheduled. My phone camera clicked over and over, hands steadier now that I had a plan. At 6 a.m., I called my best friend Rachel. We'd been tight since university, went to Western together. She answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep. I asked if the kids and I could crash at her place in Oakville for a few days while I figured things out. She didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate, just told me to pack bags and come over right away. That made me cry. Standing in my kitchen at 6 inches the morning because someone actually cared about protecting my kids. I packed 3 bags fast. Clothes, toothbrushes, Emma's art supplies, Tyler's hockey stick, stuff that would make them feel safe. Marcus came downstairs at 7:30, hair still wet, checking his phone before he even looked at me. I told him calmly that the kids and I were spending the week at Rachel's because we needed space. He barely glanced up from his screen. That's fine. I've got plans with Sophie anyway. Like I just told him we were going to Costco instead of leaving him. At Rachel's house in Oakville, I set the kids up with Disney Plus in her living room while I sat at her kitchen table and Googled divorce lawyers. Read reviews for 3 hours, compared rates, took notes. Found one named Jennifer Walsh, who specialized in custody cases and had amazing reviews about protecting kids from toxic situations. Monday morning, I drove to Jennifer's office in Burlington. She was this tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that looked right through you. She told me to start from the beginning. I talked for 50 minutes straight while she took notes. When I finished, she put her pen down, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "We're going to protect your children." I almost cried again. Jennifer explained that Marcus's own words about Sophia being more important than his kids would destroy him in family court. She said, "Judges in Ontario hate parents who put their affairs above their children, especially when there's proof of the mistress being cruel to the kids." She told me we needed to be smart and strategic, gather more evidence while pretending to try to work things out. She said, "Judges like parents who attempt reconciliation. Even when it's obviously over, we play the game properly, eh?" I hired her right there, wrote a check from my personal account that Marcus didn't know about, money I'd been saving from my part-time job at the Chapters bookstore. We made a plan. Document everything from now on. Get the kids into therapy so a professional could assess the damage. Wait for Marcus to keep choosing Sophia over the kids. Because he would. Jennifer said that last part with complete certainty. That afternoon, I picked up the kids early and took them for Timbits. We sat in the Tim Hortons parking lot, them with their Boston creams, me with nothing because my stomach was too tight. I explained gently that Mommy and Daddy were having serious problems and we might not all live together soon. Emma asked, "Is it because of Miss Chen?" I said yes. She looked relieved instead of sad, her whole face relaxing. That broke my heart worse than anything Marcus had done. Tyler asked if he'd still have to see Sophia if we didn't live with Daddy anymore. I promised him I would do everything in my power to protect both of them. He put down his Timbit and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. I realized my kids had been waiting for me to protect them, and I'd let them down by waiting so long. I found a family therapist named Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who specialized in kids dealing with parental affairs. Got Emma an appointment for Wednesday and Tyler for Thursday. Jennifer called that same day. Said staying at Rachel's looked like I was abandoning the marital home, which could hurt my custody case. Told me to move back immediately and document everything there instead. I didn't want to go back, but I understood the strategy. We packed up and went home. Marcus's Jeep was in the driveway at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, which surprised me. The kids went to their rooms and Marcus barely acknowledged us, just made coffee and went back upstairs. That night around 6, the doorbell rang. Sophia walked in without waiting, carrying Boston pizza takeout. Marcus came down and kissed her right in front of me and the kids, then announced they'd brought dinner for everyone. I pulled out my phone and took time-stamped photos of her in our house, of Marcus kissing her in our entryway, of them setting up dinner like they owned the place. Dinner was brutal. Sophia watched how Emma ate, making little faces. Halfway through, she said Emma needed to work on her table manners, that she held her fork wrong and chewed too loudly. Said my 11-year-old needed etiquette lessons. Marcus jumped in, agreeing with everything, Told Emma that Sophia was trying to help her become more refined, that she should be grateful. Emma's face crumbled, tears filling her eyes. She was trying so hard not to let fall. I smiled politely, said something neutral, and made mental notes of every word for Jennifer. After dinner, once the kids were in bed, I went downstairs. Marcus was on the couch with Sophia curled up next to him. I told him clearly that Sophia wasn't welcome in our home anymore until we'd worked through our marriage problems. He laughed. Actually laughed. Said there was nothing to work through because he was happy with Sophia and I needed to accept that she was part of our lives now. I had my phone in my pocket, recording everything. Let him talk. Let him say it all. Then I went upstairs and emailed the audio to Jennifer. Next day, I played the recording for Jennifer in her office. When it finished, she smiled. Not a happy smile, but a satisfied one. Said Marcus was building our case for us. Wednesday, I took Emma to Dr. Mitchell's office. After the session, Dr. Mitchell told me Emma had opened up about feeling replaced by Sophia, how her dad didn't pay attention to her anymore, how Sophia threw away her artwork and criticized everything. Said the emotional neglect was clear, and she'd document everything carefully. Thursday, I brought Tyler. His session was harder because he didn't have words for his feelings yet, being only 8, but he drew a picture. Our family split in two, with Marcus and Sophia on one side and the three of us on the other, with a thick black line separating them. Dr. Mitchell said the drawing spoke volumes. She'd keep it for her files. Before we continue, I need to ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between what's comfortable and what's right, especially when it comes to protecting people you love? That's the crossroads I was standing at. Sometimes the hardest choices are the most necessary ones. What would you have done? I started keeping a detailed journal after that. Every missed hockey practice. Every broken promise. When Marcus told Emma he couldn't attend her school music recital because it was the same night as Sophia's performance at some jazz club downtown, I wrote it all down with dates and times. 2 weeks into therapy, Dr. Mitchell called me in without the kids. She said both children were showing clear signs of emotional distress directly related to Marcus's behavior and Sophia's presence. Emma was developing anxiety about coming home. Tyler was having nightmares and had started getting into fights at school when he'd never been aggressive before. Dr. Mitchell offered to write a professional assessment for custody proceedings. I accepted immediately. That weekend, Marcus made his big announcement. Came home Friday with Sophia and gathered us in the living room. Said Sophia's lease was ending next month and it didn't make sense for her to get a new place when she was at our house all the time anyway. She was moving in with us. My stomach dropped. I said absolutely not. Marcus said I didn't get to control his life anymore, that this was his house too. I called Jennifer immediately. She said this was actually good for our case. Showed Marcus prioritizing his mistress over his children's emotional well-being in their own home. Told me to document my objection clearly and let him proceed while we prepared to file. That night, I sat the kids down. Told them about Sophia moving in. Emma's face crumpled, and Tyler just stared at the table. I promised them we'd have our own place soon. Just the 3 of us. Saturday morning, I started looking at rental houses online. Found a small 3-bedroom place just 5 blocks from their school in Streetsville. Called the landlord, saw it that afternoon. Applied right there and put down a deposit from my savings. Tuesday morning, Sophia showed up with suitcases and boxes. Didn't knock, just used her key. She took over the guest room, then started rearranging the living room furniture. Took down the kids' artwork and threw it in the garbage. Hung her own abstract paintings instead. When Emma came home and saw her butterfly drawing in the trash, she started crying. Sophia said the house needed to look more mature now. I pulled the drawings out after Sophia went upstairs and hid them in my closet. Thursday, Tyler came home with red eyes. Some kids at school had been teasing him about his dad having a girlfriend. Their parents had been gossiping about seeing Marcus and Sophia around town. The kids called our family weird, asked if I knew my husband had a new wife. Tyler pushed one of them during recess. When I told Marcus, he barely looked up from his phone. Said kids are mean sometimes and Tyler needed to toughen up. Tyler ran to his room crying. Marcus shrugged and went to find Sophia. I documented everything and sent it to Jennifer. She responded, saying this was proof that Marcus's public affair was damaging the kids' social lives and emotional health. Saturday, Sophia announced she wanted to give Emma a music lesson. Emma locked herself in her room. Sophia got upset and told Marcus. He went upstairs and grounded Emma from her art supplies for a week for being disrespectful. I recorded the whole thing on my phone. Monday, Dr. Mitchell told me both kids were showing severe anxiety and depression. She'd write a detailed assessment for court and was willing to testify if needed. I started picking up extra shifts at chapters. Rachel came over late at night and we packed boxes quietly, moving stuff gradually to the rental house. We set up the kids' rooms first so they'd have familiar things waiting. Marcus never noticed because he was too busy with Sophia. Friday night, Sophia hosted a dinner party at our house for her music teacher friends. Sent invitations without asking me. 6 people showed up. She introduced Marcus as her partner while I was standing right there. The guests looked uncomfortable. One of Sophia's friends found me in the kitchen. Said she was sorry about what I was going through. Said Sophia had always been selfish, even back when they were roommates in Vancouver. Mentioned that Sophia had gone after her boyfriend once too. She gave me her phone number. Said to call if I needed a witness statement. Said someone needed to stand up for those kids. 3 days later, Tyler's hockey coach called. Said I needed to come to the rink right away. When I got there, Tyler was crying on the bench. The coach explained. Tyler saw Marcus's Jeep pull into the parking lot during warm-ups and got excited. Ran toward it. But Marcus was just dropping Sophia at the Good Life next door and didn't even look at the ice. Drove away without acknowledging Tyler. The coach said he'd noticed major changes in Tyler over the past months. Used to be the most enthusiastic kid on the team, now barely participated and seemed sad all the time. Offered to write a statement about Tyler's declining performance and emotional state. I thanked him with tears in my eyes. Next morning, I met with Jennifer. Spread everything across her conference room table. Dr. Mitchell's psychological assessments, the coach's statement, my documentation, the recording, photos, everything. Jennifer reviewed it all carefully. When she finished, she sat back and said we had a really strong case for primary custody with limited supervised visitation. The combination of professional assessments, witness statements, recorded admissions, and documented neglect created a picture family court judges take very seriously. She started drafting divorce papers right there, said she'd file this week and have Marcus served. Friday morning, Marcus left for work. I took the kids to school, hugging them extra tight, then drove home and loaded the last boxes with Rachel's help. We moved everything out, beds, dressers, kitchen stuff, all of it. I left the divorce papers on the kitchen counter with a note saying we were done and he could contact me only through Jennifer. Changed my phone number immediately, gave the new one only to Jennifer, the school, and trusted friends. Jennifer called less than an hour after Marcus would have gotten home. Said he'd called furious, demanding to know where his kids were. Threatened to call the police for kidnapping. She told him calmly that his children were safe with their mother, and he'd be served with official papers. I picked up the kids early. When I pulled into the driveway of our new house and told them this was our new home, Emma actually cried. Happy tears. Her room was set up exactly how she liked it. Her saved artwork hanging on a bulletin board. Tyler found his room and noticed his hockey trophies on display. Asked if we could put his drawings back on the fridge now. I said absolutely. That weekend, we stayed in pajamas until noon. Watched movies on the couch. Made pancakes. Played board games that had been packed away because Sophia said they were childish. Ordered pizza and ate from the box. No Sophia criticizing. No Marcus ignoring them. No tension. Just the three of us being comfortable and safe. The kids were noticeably calmer. Mia laughed at the movie. Tyler made jokes and didn't look sad when talking about hockey. Sunday afternoon, Tyler laughed. A real belly laugh. I realized I hadn't heard him laugh like that in months. Monday, Jennifer called. Marcus's lawyer demanded immediate visitation. Jennifer sent our complete evidence package along with Dr. Mitchell's recommendation that any visitation be supervised and Sophia must be absent. Marcus's lawyer went quiet for 3 days after receiving the package. Jennifer said he was realizing how bad Marcus's case looked. Tuesday morning, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize at first. My old number. It was from Sophia. She called me bitter. Said the kids would get over it. That I was selfish and they deserved to see real love. I screenshotted it and sent it to Jennifer. She said it was perfect proof of Sophia's lack of concern for the children's well-being. That afternoon, I took both kids to their therapy session. Dr. Mitchell told me afterward that both kids were already showing improvement after just 1 week away from the toxic environment. Emma was drawing happy pictures again. Tyler was sleeping through the night. Wednesday, the school principal called me in for a meeting. She mentioned she'd had concerns about Sophia's boundary issues at school. Apparently, Sophia had been trying to insert herself into school events inappropriately, showing up at pickup when it wasn't her day, attending parent meetings uninvited. The principal offered to provide a statement about Sophia's inappropriate behavior and Marcus's absence from parent-teacher conferences and school events. She had documentation of every missed conference, every event Marcus didn't attend. I texted Jennifer immediately. She responded, "This is exactly what we need." Thursday, Jennifer called. Marcus agreed to supervised visitation at a neutral location without Sophia present. First visit scheduled for Saturday at a family visitation center. Friday evening, I prepared the kids. Explained it would be just him, without Sophia. They could leave if uncomfortable. Emma said she wanted to go because she missed her dad even though he hurt her. Tyler said he'd go if Emma went. Saturday morning, I drove them to the visitation center. 2 hours later, the supervisor brought them back early. They looked disappointed and tired. The supervisor's report said Marcus spent most of the time on his phone texting. When Tyler tried to tell him about making the A-team, Marcus interrupted to complain about the divorce and blame me. Told the kids Sophia missed them. The kids asked to leave after 30 minutes. Monday, Jennifer filed a motion requesting visits be reduced to monthly until Marcus completed parenting classes. 2 months passed. The kids settled into our new routine. Marcus's visits continued to go poorly. Finally, the mediation session arrived. We sat across from each other with our lawyers. Marcus arrived 20 minutes late, which the mediator noted with obvious disapproval. He kept checking his phone. Jennifer pulled out her folder and started laying documents on the table. Supervisor's reports, Dr. Mitchell's psychological assessments, the coach's statement, the principal's documentation, my detailed records. The recording where Marcus said Sophia was more important than the kids. The mediator read everything, while Marcus shifted in his chair. His lawyer's expression changed from confident to concerned. The mediator asked Marcus if he'd like to respond to the documented incidents. He said the documents made things sound worse than they were. She asked how telling his children his mistress was more important than them could sound better in context. Marcus's face went red. Said that's not what he meant. Jennifer pulled out a recorder and asked if he'd like to hear the actual audio. His lawyer put a hand on Marcus's arm, telling him to stop talking. The mediator looked at Marcus and asked what was more important, his relationship with Sophia or his relationship with his kids. Complete silence. Marcus sat there thinking about his answer like it was a difficult question. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Everyone in the room understood what his hesitation meant. He finally said he loved his children, but Sophia made him happy. and he couldn't just end that relationship. The mediator asked if he understood that his children's therapist had documented significant emotional distress directly caused by Sophia's presence. Marcus said the kids would adjust once they got to know her better. The mediator closed her folder with a firm snap. Said she was recommending primary physical custody to me with supervised visitation for Marcus every other weekend, contingent on him completing parenting classes and therapy. Added that Sophia should have no contact with the children based on documented emotional harm. Marcus's lawyer told him quietly to accept this recommendation, that fighting would cost him money and probably result in a worse outcome. Marcus glared at me and signed the papers with angry strokes. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized with the custody arrangement exactly as recommended. I had primary custody. Marcus had supervised visits twice monthly and was required to pay child support. The judge added that Sophia have no contact with the children, written into the official court order. 2 weeks later, Rachel called with gossip. Gloria had broken up with Marcus, apparently decided a man who lost his family for her, but then resented the consequences wasn't worth it. Rachel's friend saw Sophia at Moxie's with a different guy, some engineer with no kids. A few days later, Marcus's boss Oscar called to apologize, said he hadn't realized what Marcus was doing during work hours. Mentioned Marcus's work performance had declined significantly, and there'd been complaints about unprofessional behavior with Sophia at company events. 4 months after separation, both kids were doing so much better. Emma was creating art again, entered a school competition. Tyler made the travel hockey team and played with genuine joy. They still had hard days missing their father, but the constant anxiety was gone. Dr. Mitchell said both kids were making excellent progress and showing real resilience. Marcus's supervised visits remained problematic. He canceled frequently, showed up late, focused on his phone more than his children. The supervisor's reports documented his ongoing failure to prioritize time with them. 2 months later, my boss promoted me to senior manager with a 25% raise and better benefits. That weekend, I took Emma to Michael's and let her pick out professional quality art supplies. Tyler got new CCM skates and we signed him up for the elite hockey camp he'd wanted. We stopped at Dairy Queen and Rachel met us there. She said I was glowing now that the weight of that terrible marriage was off my shoulders. She was right. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, we were having breakfast on a Saturday when Emma said she was glad we left. Said now she could be herself without Sophia criticizing everything. Tyler nodded, said he liked our house better because it felt like home. I looked at my kids in their pajamas with syrup on their faces, completely relaxed and happy. They were genuinely okay for the first time since Sophia entered our lives. 3 weeks later, Jennifer called about paperwork from Marcus's lawyer. Marcus was requesting to reduce his visitation time because maintaining the current schedule was too difficult. The filing was full of excuses about work commitments and personal obligations. Nothing about what's best for the kids. The court hearing took 15 minutes. The judge reviewed the evidence, looked at Marcus with disapproval, and reduced visitation to monthly. When I told the kids that night, expecting sadness, they just nodded. Tyler asked if we could make popcorn and watch a movie. Their relief told me everything. We're building a good life now. The 3 of us have dinner together every night. No Sophia redecorating or throwing out their artwork. I help with homework while they tell me about their day without fear. We go to Tyler's hockey games and I'm the loudest parent in the stands. Emma's art is all over our fridge and walls, her drawings getting better as her confidence grows. On weekends, we do things we actually enjoy. The kids are healing slowly but surely, laughing more, relaxing into just being children again. I'm stronger than I ever thought possible, capable of providing for them and protecting them in ways I didn't know I had in me. We're finally free from someone who proved over and over that he never deserved us in the first place. So here's my final question for all of you watching, and this is the big one. When you look at Marcus's choices throughout this story, do you see how every selfish decision had consequences that rippled out and hurt the people who depended on him most? That's karma, right there. That's cause and effect playing out in real time. What lessons can we take from this? How do we make sure we're not the Marcus in someone else's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. It helps to share it, helps to know I'm not alone. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. And remember, your kids are watching everything you do. Make sure you're showing them what real love and integrity actually look like. Take care of yourselves out there, eh? And remember, you deserve better than someone who makes you their second choice.